kind of both ends, where there's enough of a challenge where it keeps people interested and feeling like they're working towards something and getting better, but it also is easy enough where people that aren't maybe looking for that same factor are able to dive in and have a good time. Welcome back, everybody, to Beers and Boss Battles. I'm Troy. That's Rob. I know, big letdown there, but
It's messed up, man. It's not right.
It is. I'm sorry, man. I'll give you a hug next time. So
All right.
we're going to be your hosts in today's video, and we're going to be covering some cool stuff, kind of keeping you guys up to speed with what we're doing as of recent, since that last video we posted for you guys. And I'm also going to serve you our reminder that we always have in these videos, that if you're not already doing it and you've been a part of this, or maybe you're joining us for the first time, go down there, hit that like and subscribe button. It really does go a long way for us. Obviously, we want you guys to not only tune in and know when we're putting these videos out, but we also want you to know that so that you can join in on the conversation. And whether that's asking us questions or making beer recommendations or video game recommendations, that's the whole point of this. And, we'd love to have that dialogue with you guys. We are going to get into our beer. And before I do that, though, I do want to just kind of cover what today's video is, and that is that, like, normally what we use this as a platform for is covering a lot of these like newer things that are happening in the gaming industry, or things that are more current and relevant, or recent. But sometimes we do like to kind of take a step back from that, and not so much for like the news aspect, but just really so we can give you guys an insight into like games that we're into and things that we kind of like to pick up along the way, and things that have piqued our interest. So that'll be kind of what we're covering today. Hopefully you guys have a good time with this one. But besides all that, we do have some cool beer to get into first. So Rob, why don't you take us away? What do we have on tap?
Oh, man. All right. So I don't know if anybody could tell. My video quality is a little rough. I'm using my laptop right now. It has like a built-in webcam, and it's like terrible. Not that my other one's like great, but it kind of looks like crap, kind of sounds like crap. My girlfriend's studying in our room, so I'm doing this remotely, so I can't get access to the beer I was going to grab. So I just took one from the fridge in the house, and it happens to be one I've reviewed before, and it's not a beer that I'm super into. It's kind of like if you open up a pack of Pokemon cards and you get like another energy card. It's kind of like you're like, It's your favorite, Michelob Ultra, what is it?
Infusions?
Lime and prickly pear cactus. I don't know if anyone's I don't know how this, dude, I probably have had duplicate beers on this before, but this is not one that I wanted to ever have to repeat, but it's all I can get right now. So here we go.
All right, let us know, man.
Let's take a sip. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, honestly, like I would say if you're into working out, you want to get summer ready. Everybody wants to get summer ready, right? You see it on Instagram, you see it all over the place. If you want to get summer ready, maybe go with Michelob Ultra, man. What do we got? We got 95 calories. I forget how many carbs it is.
I feel like it's
not. Yeah, it doesn't say, but I think it's kind of low. No, not low.
Yeah, because I think that isn't that the kind of the whole point of the Michelob.
Yeah, like maybe it's the regular Michelob Ultra. I think it's like 2.5 carbs or something. So like if you're trying to hit your macros, it's not bad. On a hot summer day, if you want to drink a bunch of these, this is good. In terms of flavor, it's not that great. I'll be honest. I mean, there's not a whole lot here. Like it serves its purpose. Its purpose, I think, is a summer beer. Nice hot summer day, kind of like a Bud Light with lime. I'll be honest. I'd rather have a Bud Light with lime. But it serves its purpose. It's okay. Again, macros. You're trying to hit those macros. This or regular Michelob Ultra is good for that. But that's where I'm going to end it. I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time talking about this again.
Okay, so as a matter of fact, I did what I haven't done in a while. Let me not say that. I feel like as of the past couple videos, I've had some decent beers. I feel like I've kind of dabbled here and there, but fortunately, not unfortunate, but fortunately for today's video, I was able to actually have a couple beers prior. And so I want to actually give a shout out to a good buddy of mine. He's a customer that comes in to my shop all the time. And so he is the nicest guy in the world. He's like, I would say maybe he's been coming in for maybe the past like 3 or 4 years, or maybe even longer. But that's as far as I've known him. And uh, I want to say maybe like a month ago, he brought in like 2 or 3 beers for me to try, and he's actually done this in the past too. He's dropped off beers. Like again, really nice guy. This guy Pete. So shout out to Pete. But actually, as of today, and by the way, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, Cinco de Mayo. By the way, guys, happy Cinco de
Oh,
Mayo. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I totally forgot.
Anyway, so I guess in lieu of Cinco de Mayo, he was like, "Oh, I'll drop off some beer for my guy Troy." So here we are, and he dropped me off this real like 8 different beers, or not all different, but pretty much a variety pack. Like all these different kinds of beers, mostly IPAs. He knows that that's what I'm into, and so he actually dropped me off this guy right here. This is OG's Axe. That's by Equilibrium. It's a double IPA. I don't know. So right off the rip, it says batch 2. Now I don't know if this is like first edition or second edition batch. I don't know. It says batch 2. So whatever that means. Or maybe it was a revised version of a beer that they had previously put out. Again, I'm not really sure, so I'm not going to make a comment there. But yeah, double IPA, 1 pint can, obviously, 8% ABV. And I do want to also point out that Equilibrium is a really, really good beer. And so when I was saying, fortunately, I was able to try this beer prior to actually making this video with Rob. So I know going into this that this is a great beer. But for the sake of the camera and you guys, I'm going to crack this now. And this is my second one of these.
And I gotta meet this guy Pete, man. I need a friend who drops me off 8 freaking awesome IPAs. It's
Okay,
good,
so
man.
well,
Good friend to have.
so to give context to that, he's like he usually picks up a lot of beer. Like he picks it up by the case. So he was telling me, not yesterday, maybe I think Monday. So it's Wednesday, obviously Cinco de Mayo. Monday, so 2 days ago, he was telling me, he was like, I have all these beers and I'm not really looking to drink all of them. He's like, and I always look out for him, man. I try to get him a break here or there whenever I can. And again, he's a really nice guy, sweetheart. And he was like, I'll bring some stuff in. I did not expect to get 8 beers. I expected maybe, like 1 or 2. But it, again, like really nice, really pleasant surprise. But whatever, besides the point. Yeah, so this beer, let me give you my take on it. I think that this is probably one of the best iterations of a real good double IPA. So what I mean by that is this. There's a lot of double IPAs that I've had, especially, on this podcast in particular, where I've covered these and I've said, like there are some where you have certain fruits or certain notes or even certain hops that stand out so abundantly where it kind of like washes out a lot of the other taste thing, a lot of the other things that are going on there. Whereas with this, I feel like this is like a really good balance. It has all like those nice fruity notes, but it has enough haze to it. It's a really good balanced beer in terms of like that IPA family. So I think for all of you guys that are interested in IPAs, I would definitely suggest this. Again, this is OG's Axe by Equilibrium. And I also, again, I'm going to make that same shout out that if you haven't had Equilibrium, they are definitely by far one of the more consistently good beer or brewing companies. Like they really have. I maybe had 1 or 2 beers from them that I was like, okay, and even then it wasn't bad. It just wasn't something that blew me away. But everything else has been top to bottom just great. So I would definitely suggest for you guys, go check out this one. OG.
Can I see that artwork again? I want to see that artwork. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I love that, man. I love these smaller breweries with I don't know if they hire local artists or they find them online or what they do, but they always have like very unique art, and I love that.
Well, all beer stuff aside, I also want to make a little announcement for our couple fans, that we do plan on, and we talked about this in our prior video, that we do plan on also venturing outside of the beer a little bit, on certain episodes. Obviously, this is going to be our mainstay, and we're going to try to stick to that and be able to incorporate good beers or things worth trying for you guys, whether that is in the double IPA, Pilsner family, whatever it is. but we definitely, you know, as I said in that last video, I've been getting more into wine. I know Rob's big into whiskey. I've actually been getting more into whiskey. So we're going to try to incorporate that a little bit more too, and give you guys a little bit of, you know, something outside of our realm. And
Little
something,
diversity, you know,
yeah,
mix it in there a little bit because not everybody's into beer. I mean, there are some people who don't even want to drink at all, and that's fine too. I hope we don't alienate anybody and make them feel like, oh, like if you don't want to drink any alcohol. I mean, that's on you. That's fine, you know. But for everybody else out there, maybe they don't like beer. Maybe they like wine. Maybe they like liquor. Maybe they like mixed drinks. So yeah, we're gonna over time we'll definitely open it up, and it won't only be beer all the time. I mean, that'll probably be what it is most of the time because that's mostly what we like. But yeah, we're open minded to trying out different beers and talking about other not beers, talking about other kinds of alcohol and other kinds of drinks.
well, that's
But
another thing too, is like that. Well, so, you know, for a lot of people, the same way that we're that way into beer, a lot of people are into wine, or they're into
yeah,
vodka, or there, I mean, there's like really so many different things. And so we kind of want it to be something where it's like, hey, maybe this isn't something we're usually drinking, but at least it's worth giving a try, and maybe opening up our own palates a little bit, and, you know, giving, you know, somewhat of, you know, some kind of love to something more than just beer. So that would be cool for us. But
well, one
anyways.
thing I just wanted to say real
Oh,
quick
sorry.
before we leave this subject, I can't remember the name of the beer, but Randy Blythe, who is the singer of Lamb of God. I guess he got sober, I think about 10 years ago, something like that. And he actually made a beer, a non-alcoholic beer that's supposedly pretty good. So that I just popped into my head. So anybody out there that maybe there's a non-alcoholic beer that you like and you think is good, you throw that out there. Well, we're willing to try anything, man.
Yeah.
So maybe if you're someone who's maybe you're sober, maybe you had a problem with alcohol, again, maybe beers and boss battles wouldn't be the first place you would go, but if you somehow happen to be here, I don't want to make you feel excluded. So if there's a non-alcoholic beer that you like, you know, I've heard actually some of them are pretty darn good. So just wanted to throw that out there real quick.
Yeah, no, and definitely something also worth touching on. You know, obviously, and it's unfortunate, but there are definitely people out there that have struggled and, you know, come into some pretty serious situations with alcohol or maybe other types of abuse. And if maybe you had to take a step away from it and maybe kind of just ixnay that out of your life, that's okay too. And again, like, this isn't just a platform for that. Like, I mean, obviously, this is something that we enjoy, and we use it as a way to, you know, express that to you guys and maybe make some good recommendations. But that doesn't mean for a second that you're out of that conversation. Hey, maybe you just want to join us and be a part of the conversation for the video games. And either way, like, that's cool for us. And we obviously
Um,
have everybody a part of that.
yeah, real quick, I found it. It's called Ghost Walker. So it's actually called the Ghost Walker IPA.
Okay, cool.
So I've heard it's pretty darn good. But yeah, man, for anybody out there, we don't want anybody feel excluded, you know,
Yeah.
whatever your requests are. Hey, if you want us to try like Powerade, maybe there's a Powerade you really like. I mean, I'm open. I don't know if Troy's open. I'll try
I'll do it.
Powerade.
I'll do it.
A
Yeah. I mean,
Coca-Cola. I don't know, whatever. Have
uh,
you had any of those Coca-Cola coffee drinks?
mm-mm.
Have you had one?
Like, you're
I've
talking
had
about, like made by Coca-Cola, or are you talking about like
Yeah, it's made by
special?
Coca-Cola. Like it's not, and it's not I don't think it's an energy drink. I think it's literally like a Coca-Cola coffee drink. So it's kind of in the family of an energy drink, but not really.
Mm.
I've had two of them, and the caramel one that I had was really good. It's like a Coca-Cola coffee caramel thing. It's freaking good.
Well, I have not tried that, but I will say that I'm very much open to it. So, you know, if the time comes and we can do it, yeah, I'm like totally for it. Um, also, well, I wouldn't. No, I'm sorry, not also really, but just moving past this, so as I stated earlier in the video, that, you know, we sometimes like to take a step away from the whole, you know, what's going on in gaming news and trying our best to cover it. We do like to try to tap into some of the stuff that isn't maybe relevant in the time frame that we're talking, you know, in, but something that is relevant to us, something that obviously matters, something that we're really big into, or something that's, again, maybe just piqued our interest. So um I definitely have a couple things for myself. Rob, what would you say? I mean, outside of obviously Call of Duty and the regular Warzone shit, what
Yeah.
have you kind of been getting into?
So I've kind of been playing. I mean, as always, this kind of keeps popping back up. It's a little redundant with Game Pass. I mean, when if I see something come on a Game Pass, I'm gonna like it's gonna pique my interest. I'm gonna look into it. So for anybody out there, there's a game. I don't know if you've ever played. It's called Zombie Army. To explain it very quickly, essentially, it's kind of like a Left 4 Dead kind of co-op zombie game. It's not nearly like Left 4 Dead in terms of like how many zombies they are or how fast they are, but it's like Left 4 Dead in that you can play co-op. You can actually Left 4 Dead you can't upgrade weapons. In this game you can upgrade weapons, but it's set in like World War II, so you're fighting like Nazi zombies. So I originally played the first one years back. I had fun with it. I thought it was a good game. I kind of like the setting too. It was kind of cool. It kind of reminded me of like Call of Duty, World at War Zombies. But it's third person, over the shoulder. There's also a lot of sniping. Like so, like with the World War II era weapons, you're using a lot of like semi-automatic shotguns and then some submachine guns. But it's kind of cool the way it's a little more gritty. I like the style of it. But I've heard that they came out with sequels, but I never played any of them. So I guess we're up to number 4 now, and that's on Game Pass. So I decided to play it. I played a few levels by myself. I had fun with it, but where I really had fun with it is when I played with my uncle, and that was I don't think it was last weekend. It might have been
I think
the
that was like a
weekend
week and a half
before.
ago.
Yeah, something like that. I ended up playing with him for probably like 2, maybe 3 hours, and I had a freaking blast, man. Like we were having a really good time. I was using an M1 Garand. You can kind of swap between the scope on it or the third person over the shoulder, kind of like Gears of War. So that's good. And then for your alternate weapon, you can kind of rock, either like a submachine gun or, like a 12 gauge, like a shotgun. And then you have a pistol as a backup. But what's really cool is for anybody that's played Sniper Elite, when you're doing like a sniper segment, it'll actually, incentivize you hitting like cool shots. So if you get like a headshot or a spine, or I mean, even if you get a nut shot, it'll kind of like zoom in, it'll do a slow-mo. You can kind of see the bullet flying through the air, this cool animation. Then you see wherever it hits and whatever damage it does to the zombie. But it's a fun game, man. Like if you're in the mood for like a kind of fun co-op game, something a little bit different, kind of World War II era, but still zombie. I would say it's pretty darn fun. There's not a crazy amount of enemy types. Like you kind of have your normal zombies. Then you have some zombies that are armed, like they actually have guns. And then you get like little bosses mixed in, like a guy with a flamethrower or snipers, or actually there's one level where you're in like Italy. I can't remember. Do you know the name of that city where there's water everywhere, like in between all
Venice?
the buildings? Venice, yeah. So it's in Venice, and there's actually like a shark zombie, and it can hurt you, and like there's like a dead one on land, and it's kind of weird. It's a little wacky, but it's a fun game, man. And if you're in the mood for some like co-op, I think it's a good game. So I mean, I have other games I could talk about too, but I'd say let's throw it to you. What have you been up to? What have you been playing?
Okay, so I actually have some questions for you about that game, so I'll return to that. But so as of
Well, if you want to ask, no, I mean, ask them if they're on your mind right now.
yeah, well, so okay, well, I was gonna ask you. So in terms of, do you think so? This is what I would say before I ask the question: is that a lot of the more arcade style games where it's a little bit, it's not really about the competitive nature of the game. You're not versing other players. It's an AI versus player kind of thing. A lot of those games typically become a lot harder when you do a co-op versus like a singular player mode. Do you see that to be the case? Or are you saying like it's just more of the same? Like,
No, I would almost say that I would say it's about equal. They definitely like tune it up when you're in co-op, like they throw more zombies at you. But like I can't say that I noticed a big difference in terms of like it being more difficult or less when I was by myself or when I was in co-op. But I will say that the fun factor for me, like you could definitely play this by yourself and have a good time, but it's that much more fun when you're playing with somebody. You laugh, oh man, I need help. I got this, little horde coming towards me, or this boss is moving towards me. So I mean, if you're one of those single player guys, you're going to have fun with it. There's definitely fun to be had, but I feel like the fun factor is definitely better with the co-op. Difficulty wise, I didn't notice a big difference. I'll be honest.
and in general though, would you say that this is So I'm assuming they do, but they offer easy, medium, or hard level difficulties, or
Yeah, I think so.
I
Yeah,
mean, what are
I'm
you
pretty
playing on
sure.
right now?
I'm just playing on whatever the medium, regular
The
default.
standard.
Yeah, the default
Okay,
difficulty.
so well, because no, my other question was going to be in terms of the difficulty of the game. Do you like? Obviously, it's a fun game, right? So, I mean, typically speaking, I think a lot of the more fun games usually provide enough of a challenge where you feel
Yeah.
compelled to play, but not so much where you feel discouraged from getting back into it. Like, would you say that this is the kind of game that is difficult? Would you say it's just really a fun shoot and run kind of game? Like, how would you?
Yeah, like I would say the difficulty is like kind of where you want it to be. Like it's definitely not hard, but it's not like insanely easy. Like it's not like you definitely won't die. Like you can just run out there and be completely reckless and like you won't pay for it. Like you will pay for it,
Mm,
especially if you're in boss fights. You're going up against zombies that have guns, or bosses that have guns. Like I forget that all the different types, but mostly it seems what I've run into is like flamethrower guys. And then later on, they have like sniper zombies. But I'm probably only at like 4 levels in, something like that. But yeah, difficulty. I would say you could probably. I could probably easily turn the difficulty up, and I would still be able to do it. I would guess. I haven't done it, but it's doable. Like it's not one of those games either, though. Where you have like infinite health. Like you're if you're hurt, just go get for cover and you'll heal. No, like you actually need to find health packs. So there is
mm,
definitely incentive to play smart. Also, when you're picking up equipment, like let's say grenades or mines that you can get later on, you get like EMP grenades or not EMP, but they're like electric grenades or fire grenades. You got to be smart about how you use your equipment or use med kits because you're not going to find them everywhere. Grenades you'll find more often, but med kits you definitely are not going to find like around every corner. So you do have to kind of be smart about when do I heal? Is it worth it to heal right when I get hurt? Probably not. I should probably hold off, wait till I get further into the level and I get more hurt so that I can really utilize that med kit. Um, that's what I would say difficulty wise. It's kind of normal, kind of what you would expect. But I would maybe that's something I'll do. Maybe next time I play it, I'll turn that difficulty up a little bit and see. I mean, it might ruin the fun factor. I don't even know if it would or not. But
mm.
um,
Well, no, because I mean, I've seen like even before you talking about it in this video, I have seen things about that game, and was able to actually stumble upon because I haven't been as active on like my own Instagram or my gaming Instagram or really anything. I've been just my focus has been kind of anywhere and everywhere. But I was able to actually see some of the clips you put up, and I thought like to myself like, wow, it actually seems like a really cool game. And as of not just that, but the things that I'd already seen, I was like, wow, this game seems pretty fun. But I was also always very curious, like, what does this game entail? Like, is it the kind of game that you jump in and you have a blast because it is doable? And so that's the
yeah,
term I would use, doable, not easy, but not too challenging. Because some games I think the challenge factor it almost works as a deterrent for people to play the game because think about games like Dark Souls, right? I mean, Dark Souls is
yeah,
not made for the everyday player. That is made for a very core
or
RPG
Cuphead.
or Cuphead. So, I mean, for me, I love those kinds of challenges. I mean, you know me, like when it comes to gaming, I love the idea of being pretty much fucked over. Like I like the idea that
Yeah,
I'm going to go in and I'm going to have a hard time because that's going to get me better and I'm going to have more fun with it. But for a lot of players, that's not the case. So having a game that can provide kind of both ends, where there's enough of a challenge where it keeps people interested and feeling like they're working towards something and getting better, but it also is easy enough where people that aren't maybe looking for that same factor are able to dive in and have a good time. So that's kind of where I was going with those questions, because obviously there's a lot of games that fall either one way or the other. Um, so anyways, in terms of what I've been getting into, so I'm gonna say a week and a half, no, maybe 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I randomly, and it was only because I went on. I think I actually was going through Game Pass again. Shout out to Game Pass. I was going through Game Pass and I was looking at different titles they had, and obviously Game Pass has so much there. But what I randomly saw was a game that I hadn't seen in a long time. Um, and then I started going down this list, and it's all these Xbox 360 games. Now, I am very much a competitive player. I usually allocate the time that I do have to play Xbox or really get online to playing competitive games like Call of Duty, like Fortnite, whatever it is at the time. But I do really thoroughly enjoy first person games that are like, not first person, I'm sorry, like single player games that I can just dive in by myself. Um, and when I was going down this list of these Xbox 360 titles, lo and behold, I found Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4, or yeah, right. All right, anyways, so I found Oblivion, and now to provide some context for you guys, I played Oblivion nonstop as a kid. I mean, when that game came out, and I think the first time I got to play it was with my oldest brother, my brother Mick, and he copped it. And I mean, it was. It's funny. I spent so much of my childhood watching other people play video games because we only had the one console in the house, and
Yeah.
of course I'm the youngest, so I get the last turn. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching, my older brothers or my sisters or whoever play these games like Zelda, Ocarina of Time. I can't tell you, I probably spent more time in my life watching that game than actually playing it. And I've beaten the game like 3 times over. So, that just goes to show.
100%.
Yeah. So Oblivion was the same thing for me. I spent so much time watching the game. It was so just absolutely just blown away with everything, like the graphics, gameplay, how interactive it was, everything top to bottom. And so when I finally got a chance to play and really got some time for myself to get into it, I mean, I dove into it and I played that game so much, and I did everything from randomly making a save file just so I could fuck everybody up in the town to actually seeing every quest through it. But I never really got to do that to the fullest extent because I was so young. And when you're young, you just, I don't think you really grasp everything in the game. So now returning to it where I'm at now, I mean, I am all in. Like, this game has been so much fun. I'm actually making a point to do every quest, to see everything through, actually read the dialogue. Whereas before I just like to say, hey, like get through.
Or you can listen to the dialogue. I mean, as far as I remember, pretty much all of it has voice work, right? I remember hearing like half the game's size is like just like audio files or something crazy like that.
Yeah, well,
so like people talking.
No, and so it is, but I mean, so a lot of times what'll end up happening is you get like an updated, your quest queue gets updated, right? As you start to do things to progress in whatever quest that is, you get updates. So like I'll even refer back to that and like look what it says and see what, like what my character's interpretation of whatever's going on. I guess for me, I never really got that experience as a child, but I know that the game has so much there where I'm like actually going back, I'm reading and I'm listening to everything that the person has to say and in whatever respect. And I gotta say, man, like even now looking back, now obviously the version that I downloaded is their refined version. Now obviously it's still Xbox 360 graphics, so you're not. I mean, if you're going into this, for the off chance that anybody watching this is actually playing that game, you're not walking into that like, wow, these graphics are amazing. But if we're considering the time, yeah, they're ridiculous. Like for that time period, nothing was even on the same spectrum. Like that game was just something, man. Like
it was crazy. I gotta just to bring that up before it kind of leaves my head. I remember playing that game, and when you get out of the prison and you come out into the world and you just look around and you're like, oh my God, like I could go anywhere I want. Like pretty much everything I could see, I could go there. Like, and like the mountains look beautiful and there's flowers and like, I just remember, dude, like I don't think games do that anymore, man. I gotta say, like games don't blow me away. Like when Ocarina of Time came out, like it blew me away. When Oblivion came out, it blew me away. When I played Gears of War, the first Gears of War, the graphics in that game, like blew my fucking mind. Like these new consoles, man, the last, I would say 2 iterations. I mean, the 360, I think, and maybe let's say PS4, I think were the last consoles that like, they came out with games that just graphically like made your jaw drop and you were just like, whoa. Like now it's like, it's so incremental. It doesn't hit you the same way. But yeah, man, I just remember like playing that game and just being freaking blown away by the way it looked. Like, take it away again. I just wanted to like add that in there while I
No,
was thinking
no,
about it.
I'm glad you did, because that is actually probably one of the biggest factors for why I love the game so much, and I think why it carried with me as long as it did. Because I remember even having, thinking back to the game prior to me playing it now the second time around. I mean, like, I remember thinking about the game and being like, yo, those graphics were fucking insane. Like, it just and also the interactiveness of everything, like being able to like really
Yeah.
talk to everybody, do everything. I mean, and like, and one thing I'll say that Bethesda, especially with that or with Fallout, has done such a good job of is that the permanent effect of what you do in the world and how that trickles outside of that initial action is just awesome. And it makes the game so much better. So, you actually feel like you can make a positive or negative impact, almost kind of like similar to something like Fable, where you're like, your actions really play into how the game will turn out for you. And for me, I love that about the game. And so, like, even now returning to it, I had that much fun as a kid, and I'm having that much more fun now. Where, the times where you or whoever else isn't online to play, I'm like, all right, I have maybe 3 hours to kill. I have nothing to do today. Yo, I'm going to dive in. And I do. And I just like go so hard. And the craziest part is I probably dumped as of now, I probably dumped a total of 20 to 30 plus hours, and I haven't even scratched the surface. Like, there's still so much to do like that. And that's what I think the beauty of it is. But so I'm not pandering on and just keep, like rehashing the same topics. I kind of want to just maybe like talk about some of the things that in the game I think would be worth for people that whether they haven't tried it or they have and they haven't revisited it. Like, the biggest things for me, beyond just the graphics, beyond just the expansiveness of the game, Oblivion did have a lot to offer in terms of things that didn't carry over through to Skyrim, right? So that isn't actually one of my plans, is that I would like to, assuming that I can, find the time to do it, I would like to completely 100% this game, Oblivion. I would like to do everything, max out every stat, do every quest, finish everything, see it through. And then when I'm finally 100% complete with this game, which will probably be another 200 plus hours, I would like to go on to Skyrim. But what I will say, as a person who did play Skyrim maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, now that's not my first time playing it. That was my second time around. I couldn't help but notice that a lot of those really good qualities about Oblivion actually didn't go forward into Skyrim. So little things like the Fighters Guild was no longer a thing. The Dark Brotherhood, in my opinion, was not as good. I got to be honest, in a lot of respects, Oblivion actually had much better story progression and quest availability than Skyrim.
I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree. The Fighters Guild, the Mages Guild, the Dark Brotherhood. I mean, like, every quest line, you felt like, I want to see the end of this. I want to play this through.
Yeah. So, like, all right. So, well, now that we're on the topic, and because this is such a large game to cover without me massively talking about it, what are your thoughts on that, maybe versus Skyrim? Like, what do you like more about Oblivion versus Skyrim for you personally?
I would say I really loved Skyrim, but Oblivion definitely holds a better place in my heart. Because, I mean, let's say this first. So it was the first 360 game that I got. I can't remember how old I was, but me and my little brother Daniel, we saved up for the 360, and we were like, we're going to get one. We couldn't get one. It's like every console that comes out, you usually can't get it right when it comes out. And I think we ended up finding one on eBay, or I can't remember how we ended up getting one, but I think it was like, let's say 6 months after the console came out, something like that. And it was the first game we got. And dude, we literally would play this game. Like, it would literally go like this. So I'd have my turn, and I can't remember if it was like an hour or 2 hours, how we broke it up. And then, like, so I would play. Then my brother would get on right after me. Then I'd watch him play. Then my dad would get home from work. Then he would play for like 2 hours. Then we'd all be like, and that cycle would just repeat itself for any amount of time that we could possibly play the game. And like kind of like you were saying before, like, I spent more time watching the game than playing it. Like, I don't think I spent more time watching it. It was probably pretty even. Actually, I probably played it more in the long run than I watched it, but I mean, like, I loved watching that game. I enjoyed it. Like, and we were
Yeah.
all on the edge of our seats with everything that was happening. And like, I think that game did so many things well. The music, the voice acting, the story was very interesting. The graphics, like we spoke about before, were mind blowing. Your impact on the world, like you were just talking about. But even in the little things, like you felt like you were in a real world. Like I could go into like a store and steal something, and now the guy's trying to kill me, and the guards are after me. Like that, I'm impacting the world. Like I could go run on a table and knock all the fucking plates and the food off the table, and like when I come back like a week later, like the place is still a mess. Or I like, let's say I took over a house, because that's what I would do in the game. I kind of role play. I mean, it's a role playing game, so I'd pretend like, hey, what would I do in this world? So I'd find a spot that would be my house. Like until you could buy a house later on in the game, I think I don't know if I stole a house or I'd find an abandoned house or what I would do. I'd find a place that, and I'd make it my home, and I'd put armor on the table. You could like hold LB to like kind of move it
Yes.
around.
Yes.
So I would do it. I'd have my house perfect. Like I'd have everything the way I wanted. My armor, I'd have like swords lined up next to them. So I would really get in like ingrained in the world, and I loved it, man. And I kind of got off track. I don't remember the specific question you asked me about it. What was it?
Well, so no,
You asked
well,
me
like
something more specific.
yeah. Well, so what I was asking is, in terms of Oblivion versus Skyrim, like, what
Skyrim.
do you
Yeah.
think, like, what do you think was better? I mean, granted,
Yeah.
all of what you said is 100%. I'd say 110%. I'm on the same page.
Yeah.
But I
So
will
if
say
we're
that
going to
it's a little
compare
bit.
it to Skyrim,
Yeah.
yeah, I would say the thing with Skyrim is that it refined a lot of the elements and made certain things better. And then it added some new things like shouts. And then they had the element of the dragon, which was kind of cool. But Oblivion did kind of everything right. Not, I wouldn't say perfect. No game is really perfect. And yes, there are definitely bugs in a lot of Bethesda games that people like to complain about. But I feel like for Oblivion at the time, wasn't, I don't remember being like annoyed or like upset or disappointed with glitches. Like most of them were kind of funny.
Yeah.
But the game just did everything so good. Like Skyrim was really good too, but I just don't think it did as many things as well. Like the things that it did well, it did very good. And I think the main story arc in Skyrim was cool. But Oblivion, man, I mean, it's definitely a little repetitive, I'll say, when you're destroying the towers, when you're actually going into Oblivion. I would say if that's one kind of thing you're going to complain about the game, like the first few you do are like awesome, dude. And you're like kind of scared and you don't know what to do. Like you feel like you're going into hell. I would say uh, they kind of incentivize you to destroy all of those, and it might get a little repetitive. Maybe you can make that complaint, even though I still enjoyed it. But what was it? The Blades? What is that? Is that the group that you end up joining in Oblivion? Yeah, that whole story arc was so. I love that. I mean, I thought the armor was so cool, the weapons, everything. I was a little more into Oblivion, and again, going from Elder Scrolls a Morrowind, was it? Yeah, I think it was. It was
It was
Morrowind
Morrowind
to,
before Oblivion, and then Skyrim after Oblivion.
yeah, like that leap. I mean, that is the same level of a leap that we had from like a side-scrolling Zelda game to a 3D Ocarina of Time. Like that leap is so massive and mind-blowing that it's like Skyrim was a great game, but it's like it can never do what that game did. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Skyrim is definitely a good game, and it definitely refined and made certain things better. Like I think the combat was probably a little bit better in Skyrim. But I just like the world. I like the diversity in Oblivion more. Again, I think the music. I actually know music was really good in Skyrim as well. I don't know. I'd say they're both awesome games, but Oblivion just for the time and when it came out, it really just captivated me in every way, man. I love that game.
Yeah, I mean, so like right now, especially because again, I'm taking this as an adult, right? So I can actually appreciate and be grateful for everything. And so I was already I already had so much of that feeling playing that game the first time around when I was much younger. But now really stepping back into it, I'm getting the full experience. So I can actually, when I do the quests and I'm reading the dialogue, I'm looking at the quest log, I'm taking things like, I'm doing it with time. I'm actually paying attention to the little details. And I got to be honest, man, when did that come out? 2006, 2007, maybe not even.
It's
Like,
got
I
to
mean,
be 2006 or 7. Yeah, I want to say 6. Wait. Well, I think 360 launched in 2005, holiday 2005. And I want to say I thought Elder Scrolls was a launch title, or maybe it's just because I got it late. It was the first game that I got for the 360. I can't remember, but it's got to be right in that time period. But yeah, I just want to throw out real quick about Oblivion is the gameplay in terms of like combat and like lock picking and like whatever little thing you were doing, the game would level you up in that area. Even running, like your acrobatics will go up as you run and jump around more. Like the game was really good with that. Like if you go with two-handed weapons, one-handed weapon, archery, like as you play it more, it levels that skill up. If you're lock picking more, it levels that skill up. Like sneaking, it levels that skill. Like it did all those things so good. I just want to throw that out there quick.
well, so like that's something again because I am looking at it for the full experience. Like, whether it's the side random quests or like the main line with the blades and trying to close all the Oblivion gates and doing something more progressive in terms of the main storyline. I mean, everything top to bottom really provides such a good experience. And so, like, what I would say in terms of the comparison aspect, when we're talking about Oblivion versus Skyrim, I think what you said before is very much, it's very much true to why Oblivion was so good is because, you're coming from this game that's like poly and really shitty looking. I mean, at the time, I'm sure it looked great, but you talk about Morrowind, and it's like it's very limited. I mean, the
Yeah.
interaction is not really there. You know, it's just not what it. Oblivion really took what Morrowind was trying to be, and then made it that, and then just amplified it by 10. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
so much of, and it was this huge leap, and we didn't really see games like that. I mean, outside of Fallout, you didn't have games like that. And
It kind of set the framework for all those kinds of games. Like if you think about it, it did so much new that was never done before. And like if you really look back now at like all the games that have come out since, whether it's a Bethesda game or not, even just any RPG, like
for Outer
they're all,
World,
yeah, it's not like there's been anything that's like just doing all this new crazy stuff. You know, it did so much that other games had never done before. And I mean, that's like anything. I mean, look at the Beatles, look at, all these Led Zeppelin, all these rock bands. Like, yeah, there was none of it that existed. So yeah, the bands that came out in the beginning that put out all this music, all of it was new ground. So everything was kind of innovative.
mm-hmm.
Now it's hard for a band to really be that innovative because there's thousands, there's, how many millions of bands and songs. And so it's like, it's kind of a tough comparison, but still.
Unless you're Troy and
Oblivion,
then you create your own sound. And
100% unique, not influenced by anybody.
yeah. No, but I mean, I definitely, yeah, I mean, it is true. I think that the thing with Skyrim that I would say as a takeaway is that they did refine a lot of great things, but I do think that they lost a lot of the things that I loved about about Oblivion. And so for me, I think, you know, something worth noting is that if you were one of those people that only was able to play Skyrim, like do yourself a favor, go play Oblivion. When I tell you, it is just by far one of the best gaming experiences you will ever have. If you're into that kind of game, obviously. I mean, some people just don't like those kinds of games. I mean, we talked about it with Jack maybe, a couple weeks back, and when I first started playing it, and he even said right off the bat, he was like, "Oh, that's not the kind of game I'm into. I'd rather, if I'm going to play video games, I'd rather spend the time playing with other people." And that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I feel that 100%. And for the most part, I do the same thing. But when I get those opportunities to get into games that are, that I can do by myself, I mean, this is like the embodiment of what that should be like. And so again, this is just my encouragement for all of you that haven't bothered to ever try it out. It's like $12. I literally bought it for like $12 on my Xbox. It downloaded in like an hour and a half, and this game is massive. I mean,
does it come with all the DLC, or you don't know?
I don't believe so, but I don't know. I mean, it's been so long since I actually played the game. I wouldn't know what the DLC versus the main game would be. I know that the graphics are refined, and obviously some of the bugs and glitches are like wiped out. Like you're good playing the game. Like there's no crash issues, like nothing like that. But which I know was actually a big thing, because I remember playing that and the game would crash because there's just so much going on. But yeah, no, I mean, I would say, for anybody that hasn't had that opportunity, take it up, go ahead, go for it. I mean, that's really where I'm at, man. I'm gonna talk more about it when I, kind of when I get further into it. Right now, I've definitely made some headway, but because the game is so big, like there's so much to do. I would say that I'm very far from where I could be at. Like I think I'm level 15, and I spent 30.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's such a fun game, man. You got me thinking about how fun that game is. And I actually went back. I was like house sitting my father's house, got to be a couple of years ago, and he had Skyrim on his Xbox One. I decided I popped my gamer tag on there, and I started a new guy. I started as a Khajiit, the little like leopard person. That's the other cool thing too. Whatever race you have has all these different, class abilities and different elements that they have and strengths and weaknesses, which I think is really cool. But I decided to switch it up and go and be a Khajiit, and I was having a lot of fun with it. But it never even like popped into my head like, oh, go back and play Oblivion. But I had like a disgusting amount of fun in that game. I think I made one of my first houses was, what is it? Is it called Cyrodiil? Where's the main area in the middle of the map where you
Imperial
like
City.
Imperial City?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't know if you know where it is. I think what's around there. There's like literally there's like a docked like ship with like the masts are down. Like I literally made that my house. Like I don't know if I like went in there and I killed everybody, but I don't know what I did. But that was like my house. That was like my starter house for like probably most of my time playing that game, probably like 60 hours. Like every room had different stuff. The bottom of the ship I had just like filled with armor and stuff, like stupid stuff. But yeah, that now you almost got me thinking back, like reminiscing, like how much fun I had with that game. Like
You should play it, bro. You should play it. It's worth
dude,
it.
here's the other thing I was thinking.
$10, bro. It's free on Game Pass, but if you want to just have it, just so it takes off the Game Pass, it's $10. Like,
well, no, would be crazy though. I was thinking too. Imagine, I mean, the game is not built for co-op, but how dumb, how much silly fun would it be to like have someone join your world? Because like the whole thing is about your world. So the only way to make co-op work, like you're not going to share a world, like a server's running 24/7. Like maybe someone's done that. I'm sure someone's modded the game and done that, but how fun would it be to just bring someone into your world and you run around together, show them like, hey, here's my house, here's all my weapons. Like that'd be freaking cool, man. That'd be awesome if they put something like that in. But probably never happened.
I want to throw in as a kind of my closing piece that we do know that another Elder Scrolls is on the way. We don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to assume that it's either going to be this coming Christmas or it's going to be 2022's Christmas. It's usually like their release times, and especially for big titles, being that we haven't seen really any for the the Xbox Series X or the PS5, we haven't seen any console exclusive titles. I think that would be definitely something to really incentivize so many people to buy that, or buy the new system and buy that game. And I can definitely
I definitely hope they don't have a version for Xbox One and PS4. Like, please do next gen and PC. Like, let's actually, like you just said, let's have an incentive. Let's have a reason for people to get new consoles.
Well, so that's actually a big. I don't want to like go off on that too much, and I know we've touched on the new console so much, but that's like a big deterrent for me right now. Like, I definitely have the means to go out and buy one, and I mean, even if it was like overpriced, I have like enough money put aside where like even just side cash where I can just be like, oh yeah, whatever, I'll pick it up. But I don't even find I've been having so much fun and having just as good of an experience on my Xbox One X, and there's no titles for me to even go out and buy it. So right now I have no reason to even do it. Like, there's no incentive for me to go out there and spend $600 or whatever it is on a new console, because there's nothing for that console that I can't get on my Xbox One X. Now, granted, it might run a little bit better on that console. That goes without saying. But what does that really do for me in the end? Nothing. So,
well, dude, look at what happened with Cyberpunk. I mean, let's be honest. For everybody out there, if you played the game, haven't played the game, I played the game. It doesn't run amazing, but it's tolerable. Like, it runs fine on the Xbox One X, not the Series X, the One X. I know a lot of people that have that either base or slim Xbox One have had a lot of problems. The base PS4, my uncle played it. He said he really did not have that many problems. It runs, but I think half, maybe not half, But a nice portion of the problems that people have with that game was what's the developer of Cyberpunk? I'm brain farting right now. CD Projekt Red. So CD Projekt Red, it put all their eggs into putting this on everything, you know, because the game was announced, 8 years ago, and it had to come out on the Xbox One. It had to come out on the PS4. Guaranteed they would have cut a lot of those problems and a lot of the bad PR had it just been a next gen and a PC game, because it would have ran that much smoother. So I think if they're smart, look, Bethesda has been acquired by Microsoft now. So if Microsoft really wants to, they could say, this is only on Xbox. You got to get an Xbox to get this, or it's only on PC and Xbox. I almost think the way they've been communicating that they're probably not going to do that. Maybe it'll be a time thing. Maybe it'll come out 6 months on the Xbox and the PC before it comes to the PlayStation. But I hope they don't do what CD Projekt Red did and try to make this game run on these older systems, and then it turns into wasted resources that they could have put into making the best game possible. And let's just say it might be sad for some people who aren't ready or don't want to, invest in a new console, or they can't afford a PC, whatever it might be. But that's just kind of what it is, man. And that's what it always was. Like, look at Gears of War. There was no Gears of War for the original Xbox. Like, if you wanted to play that freaking new game with new graphics, something new, it needed a new console. And I hope they do that with the next Elder Scrolls. I'm definitely excited. I know Bethesda hasn't been in the best spot in the last couple of years, but I think the fact that we haven't seen a lot about it and they're kind of, keeping all their cards held tight, hopefully that's a good sign. Hopefully that means, like, when they do show it to us, maybe it'll do what Oblivion did. Maybe it'll actually blow our minds. Maybe we'll be surprised. Maybe our jaws will drop at the graphics and gameplay elements. So, hey, man, I'm an optimistic guy. That's what I hope for. Maybe I'll be let down, but I'm optimistic. I don't want to get overhyped, but I'm definitely excited, and I hope it's good.
I think the same. I think it is going to really be everything that, whether it was Oblivion, whether it was Skyrim, everything good that it had to offer, and then that much more. And that's kind of my reason for bringing it up, is that I think, looking forward, that is something as a title that, we don't know what to expect, but if we're going based on anything that we've experienced in the past 2 iterations, I mean, it is literally going to be probably one of the best games of all time. It's kind of like the way I look at Elder Scrolls is kind of the same way, or in the same light that I would put maybe even Zelda in, where it's like they can really do no wrong. I mean, there's literally been one Zelda game to date that I was like, I'd say 2 that I was not. One in particular that I was not happy with was 4 Swords, and that was for the 3DS, I think. And then the other game that was really just like kind of shit was the Dynasty Warriors game, where they made Hyrule Warriors.
But I don't even think that counts, man. That's not like a real Zelda game.
No, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of like Zelda games, like, I mean, it's not like a mainline game, but it's like it's still made by by those people. So that's even like a bad. That's not even doing it. It's not even being fair about it. But yes, like in terms of all of those like mainline games, like Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time, Skyward Sword, Majora's Mask, I mean, Twilight Princess, that is the same thing that I look at Elder Scrolls with. Like Oblivion, fucking amazing. Even at the time, Morrowind, fucking amazing.
Yeah, Skyrim was amazing too.
Yeah, like all of them. Yeah. So like that's another thing too. Like, I mean, when obviously we're sitting here saying that maybe Oblivion was more captivating, but that doesn't mean for a second that Skyrim wasn't one of the best games. I mean, it definitely.
Dude, remember how viral that game was? Like, my knee, like what was it, arrow to the knee? Like, that was a meme that like almost everybody knew about, dude. You'd walk down the street and see, like, I was buying a cell phone at the time, and I was talking to the woman selling me the cell phone. She's like, yeah, I'm addicted to it. Like, I'm not even into video games. And we ran out and we bought Skyrim and Fus Del Ra. Like, everybody, that game was like big, man. That game was really big. Like, everybody knew what Elder Scrolls was after Skyrim.
Yeah. So I think now if we're talking about, like, looking forward, it's obviously we know that this is coming, and we know that it's there, it's in production. What we don't know is how much that's been hindered, obviously, with coronavirus and everything going on in the world. But what I can say is that is one of the few titles that I would hope is going to be exclusive to the new console, and that I also feel so strongly is going to be so good. Um, but you know, when the time comes,
I
it
hope.
comes. And I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I can only imagine what they're going to do with it because they've just been so on fucking target with everything that they've done.
With
Um,
Elder Scrolls, yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people were disappointed. Obviously, Fallout 76 was kind of a disaster. I definitely had fun with the game. Like, I'm not going to hate on it that much. I mean, there were a lot of problems, but there was fun to
they
be
took the
had. I
wrong
mean,
angle. They took the wrong angle, man.
yeah. And even Fallout 4, I know a lot of people were like, it wasn't a bad game, but there was definitely some disappointment there. I don't think anybody with, like, let's say since Morrowind, I don't think anybody's been like disappointed really with Elder Scrolls. Everybody's been like, no, this game is fucking amazing. Like, yeah, there's some glitches. Okay, it's a big ass world. There's gonna be some bugs. Um, but yeah, I think this is kind of like you were talking about Zelda before. Like Nintendo's baby is like Mario and Zelda. Like they're always gonna put out stellar, freaking amazing games. Like, look, they're not like rushing out all these games. Look, when was the last time we had? I mean, Skyrim came out how many years ago now? I mean, they're
What
not like they
they're
really they know
2012,
that that's their baby. 2012.
I think, or like maybe even earlier, 2011.
Yeah, maybe something like that. So, I mean, a really long time. So they're not just pumping out games to try to make money. Like Elder Scrolls is their baby, and I don't think they're going to screw it up. And I really hope they don't.
Yeah.
I don't think they will.
Well, so all that besides, we hope that you guys were, you know, part of it and you guys enjoyed the conversation. If you had something,
2011, November,
there you go,
2011.
2011, that you guys had something, you know, relatable to offer. And if you did, or maybe you had some really big issue with something we said, or maybe something we didn't happen to mention, please, we are going to encourage you every single time. Just go down in those comment sections, let us know. And even if you guys want to just maybe even hop on a game of Call of Duty or Fortnite or whatever, you know, we're always, again, open to recommendations or anything that you guys have to offer. And so for us, that does really go, you know, that goes the distance. And we are going to have a lot more to talk about in the coming weeks, if not months. There's a ton of really cool stuff that's obviously on the way. Really great titles that are on the forefront of coming out, and with these new gen consoles being here, um, both of us are kind of in the same boat right now. We're both just kind of waiting for that opportunity and waiting for a reason to buy them. And so, again, we're going to have so much more to talk about, but we also want to have you guys as a part of that same conversation and have you guys involved. So, if you didn't all do it already, please do go down, hit that subscribe button, leave your notifications on for any of the videos we have coming out. And until the next time that we get to sit down and we get to talk about some cool video games, whether that's current or maybe a game like Oblivion, maybe that's a game that we, you know, haven't talked about in 10 plus years. We hope that you guys are there for it, and we hope that you're also drinking some dope fucking beer. I'm gonna make my recommendation from a 4 OG's Axe from Equilibrium.
Yo,
So
that beer is terrible, man. This is what people need in their life, right here. Prickly pear
Michelob
cactus,
Ultra
bro.
Infusions. Uh, but we really, big thank you to you guys that, you know, have bothered to stop in and be a part of it, whether you're just giving a quick listen or not. And we look forward to talking to you guys next time.